So good morning, guys. We've got a special treat for you this Saturday morning. It's early, it's about 5:30, 6 o'clock. We are in the yard of the late, great Dr. Al Falkenstein. And Dr. Al was one of the coolest people on earth. He helped me get to where I am today in regards to growing and showing me how to do the different types of trees that we are now, such as the ripe avocado and some of our sapotes and some other trees. And his wife and son are kind enough to let us come over this morning and do a little tour of his yard. Last we were here was 2 years ago with Jake, and we wanted to do an update video, and I haven't been here since then to see anything. And we just happened to pick the right time of year, the middle of July. We've had the monsoons, the humidity's going up, so everything is perking up and coming to life. And there's a lot of cool stuff that we want to take you around the yard and show you things that won't grow in Arizona. So we're going to start off on this side of the yard here with a lot of pomegranate we've got over on the side here, different varieties, and then also some citrus. And then over here on the right, we've got a Bordeaux Fig, which Brandon is going to be kind enough to sacrifice himself to eat some fresh figs here off the tree. And give us a report on what's going on there.
I've never tried this fig before, so it's really juicy, it looks like. And looks like candy.
So you eat them with the skin. I always eat just the inside.
Inside?
Yeah.
It's good. I have to show you guys this tree. This is the lemon zest mango. And look at all these mangoes on it. This thing is covered. Again, it kind of speaks for itself because it's covered in fruit. I was able to try this variety last year off this tree and it was delicious. Have you ever had a lemon zest?
I have. Yeah. Lemon zest are really good mangoes if you like a lemon flavor. Lemon zest, for some reason, seem to take a little bit more sun than some of the other varieties. I'd still recommend shading them the first couple of years, but I know Chad has a really nice lemon zest growing in his front yard, and I've got a few of them in pots in larger sizes, and they're fine with heat and sun. But there's a lot of fruit on this tree.
Yeah, I can't believe there's mangoes growing in Arizona like this.
And you can see here it does well because of the microclimate.
Right.
It's protected from the winter with the wall there behind the tree. You've also got about a 3-foot berm holding in irrigation on this side. And then you have a large pomegranate tree, so it's pretty well protected.
Right.
Because I know this part of town gets a little colder than we do. Anytime you can get fruit off a tree that you can't buy in a store.
Right.
That's nice.
Like you can't get mangoes this fresh, you know, like at any store.
You can't buy lemon zest mangoes.
Right.
So over here on the side of the house, we've got a guava tree. And this is pretty good size. Now this is about the size of a mature guava. Guavas will get up to 10, 14 foot in that neighborhood.
Nice.
And bushy. And you can see the way that Dr. Al planted them using the house for cold protection. And it's done well because of that. You can see that the tree is probably 8 inches from the house itself.
And I've talked to a lot of people that seems really concerned about that. You know, like too close to the house, or the trees are maybe too close together.
Well, I think in general people like to be concerned about something. It gives them something to think about. But yeah, I mean, you wouldn't want to plant a Chinese elm or a pecan tree up against the house.
Right.
But a lot of the tropicals, they're not going to get big here because winter's not going to allow it. It's going to keep them in check. They're going to stay on the small side.
This thing looks beautiful.
Yeah.
So we're going to take you guys into the greenhouse. Okay, this tree looks cool. You know what this is?
This is cacao.
Wow, the cacao tree. Super tropical, right?
Yeah, and that's why we're inside the greenhouse right now. So a lot of cold protection in here and a little bit of increased humidity. So this is where they have all of the rare stuff, the ultra tropicals. So we've got some soursop and cacao, and behind me looks like green sapote. And then behind that, old vanilla bean. And then looks like we have some cherimoya here. And then over here we have the star apple, Kaimito.
This thing's really dark green.
Yeah, pretty leaves. And then through here, there are 3 Adamoyas. They're doing really, really nice. Now, Adamoyas really don't need to be in the greenhouse in Arizona.
Okay.
Adamoya will take a little bit more cold than the other Anonas. We have one at Glendale that's been doing just fine. So you don't need to have a greenhouse to grow Adamoya. And then behind it, there's some papaya. And then one of my all-time favorites, not only lychee, but the emperor lychee.
Right.
And that is most important.
We just came in the greenhouse. We're going out now to the backyard. Okay, what's this?
Here, we've got an old Java de Cava. Now this Java de Cava is at least 20 years old. These guys take forever to grow. They sit, you can see that's not a large tree for a 20-year-old tree.
For that age, right.
You never need to prune Java de Cava. They fruit on the old growth anyway, so you really don't want to tamper with them, just let them grow.
Right.
And then behind us over here, we've got some citrus. There's a beautiful loquat. I've had fruit off that tree in the past. It's a really good loquat, unknown variety. You see the foliage that's in the shaded area is a lot larger, really pretty. The loquat leaves can be used to make a tea.
Okay.
There's a lot of medicinal uses to loquat leaves.
Check this out, there's more fruit back here.
Yeah. Persimmon. And then behind the persimmon, if I remember right, that was a cherimoya. And then along with some dragon fruit.
Right here. Do you like persimmon?
I like the persimmons that come off my tree at the Glendale house, the Haichias.
Haichias.
I'm not a big fan of store-bought persimmons, but the fresh ones are really good.
So these look like grapes right here.
Yeah. And this variety was, I think it's been called a couple different things. Mars grape, also Jupiter grape. If I remember correctly, the leaves are like dinner plate size.
Wow.
Now they're a little smaller in the summertime because of the heat.
I mean, but already, like, some of these leaves look pretty big.
Yeah. I came over to look at the herbipe in November. This thing had fruit on it, the big dark purple fruit.
Oh yeah, it tastes like wine. I mean, it was like the best grape I've ever had.
I've never even heard of them. I've never tasted it, so would you say it's the best grape you've had?
Yeah, no, it was a really good grape.
Oh, nice.
Actually, a really good grape. And a couple of years ago, we took a bunch of cuttings from these to get them started. We've got a few growing here and there. But
Can't believe
really
it fruited
grape.
that late.
Yeah, yeah. Now, over here is something really cool, not generally found in Arizona, but a wax jambu, which you can see the amount of shading that it needs.
Right, there's patio.
Even as they mature, they're not going to deal with our full sun. So if you can give these guys a lot of protection, you can see obviously that it'll do okay here. There should be a rose apple mixed in there somewhere as well too. I think that's the middle plant there.
Maybe right here?
Yeah. So the wax jambus, the rose apples will grow here, but they need heavy shading.
Okay. I had no idea that this tree could grow here.
Yeah.
And that was like super tropical.
That's actually the only one I know about in the Phoenix area.
I can't believe that.
No. Now this is one of the cooler trees in the yard. This is a nectarine. We call it the Falkenstein nectarine. Dr. Al actually grafted a handful of different varieties onto the tree, and they ripen in succession. So it works its way around the tree. If I remember correctly, clockwise?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as they blossom, as they fruit, it goes that way around the tree.
And you can see the different leaves right here. Same tree. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
There's another guava right here, covered in guavas.
Nice guava.
These things get tall. They're so nice.
Yeah. And guavas are really good for us because they'll grow pretty much anywhere. They don't need a ton of sun. They don't need a ton of shade. They don't need a lot of care. They don't take up a lot of space. As you can see, they'll grow pretty much anywhere, wedged in amongst other stuff.
Right.
And they're heavy producers. You really don't need to do anything with guava.
Check out these dates. You remember what type of dates these are?
Medjool,
Medjool dates.
with a lot of pups that need to come off.
Right here.
So working our way over here. Keep mango.
Check it out. Got 2 mangoes on it right now.
Now this tree wasn't getting a lot of sun until recently, and they took back some of the canopy of the other trees, the moringas and the guavas and pomegranates around us, and now it's starting to get a little bit more. So it doesn't have a ton of growth for the age of the tree, but next year this should probably be 2 to 3 times the size, and there'll be a lot more fruit on it. We have a honey fig that has a lot of fruit on it right now. Beautiful leaves too, really nice foliage.
It's covered in fruit everywhere.
Probably still another few weeks to ripen on those. This here is the first of 2 of the specials in the backyard.
Specials.
This is one of actually the oldest Aravaipa in the Phoenix area, outside of the large one that's up in Aravaipa Canyon.
Right.
So this guy here is coming up on, we should be at, this was done 2009, so about 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah, the tree should be about 8 years old. Because the budwood came from the mother tree. We went up there, I think it was 2009,
Okay.
was the first trip. When I came over to visit Dr. Al about 4 or 5 years ago and saw this, and he hadn't mentioned it, and I asked him what type of avocado is this. He said, oh, it's the Aravaipa. We brought him from that trip that we went on. I was like, do they grow here?
Right.
This is proof of life.
I mean, it's right here.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to...
And we're at easily 25, 30 foot.
Right. And it's 8 years old?
Yeah.
This is a big tree.
Yeah.
I mean...
And you can see the size of the trunk on it.
Right.
I mean, that's a tree. It's
Yeah, if
not,
you wanna come
it's
check
not
this
struggling
out.
to live or anything like that.
Look, this thing is standing strong.
So one thing you'll notice with avocado, and this is common in Phoenix, is that every June, July, you're gonna get a burned look to them. This year we were good up through about the second week of June, and then we went from about 95, 100 up to 122, and we had a week of that.
Right.
Trees are gonna look bad when it happens, just especially with avocado. They're just gonna burn back a little bit. But as you can see here, now that we've cooled off just a little bit, now we're at only 107, 110, and the monsoons are coming in, we're getting humidity. The new growth is already coming out.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, so that's normal.
Okay.
Your avocado trees should look kind of beat up this time of year. It's part of the deal.
Okay.
And these do produce. This particular one does not have anything on it, but the second one will show you some fruit.
Nice.
This started producing about year 3, if I remember correctly, from what he had told me.
So another avocado?
This is another avocado. This is actually a pollinator for the Aravaipa. Now this, if I remember correctly, this was a winter Mexican. This was planted about 4 years ago. This one is not tagged, so I'm not 100% certain, but
Okay.
I remember him asking for a winter Mexican, and that's why it's planted close to this tree here. This is doing nice.
Yeah, it still looks good.
Yeah. And then behind it, there's papaya. If I remember
Oh.
correctly, that was the Tai Nung number 2, if I remember correctly.
Okay, Tai Nung number 2.
So we're making our way past a lot of stone fruits. There's pluots, pluaries, plums, all the stuff that starts with a P. Now this is also common for the summertime when we get that extreme heat.
Right.
Passion fruit are going to burn back a little bit. It's best if you can plant the vine itself in somewhat of a shaded area and then let it grow into sun. And then this is common. This will happen every summer, usually around mid-June. But already they're pushing out new growth just a couple weeks later to replace.
It just takes over this whole wall right
Oh
here.
yeah. Yeah, you can see the size of the trunk on the vine.
Yeah.
It's like a small tree.
So here's the trunk right here.
What is this, Brent?
I believe this is a Sapote.
You believe correctly?
It's a white Sapote.
Yes.
I can always tell because like underneath the leaves it's kind of like, I don't know, fluffy maybe?
Well, that and also the first giveaway would be all the white Sapote fruit hanging
the
on
fruit
the tree,
on
of
it,
course.
right,
Yes,
of course.
definitely. If I remember correctly, this was a Subel.
Subel?
Yeah.
You like Sapotes?
They're okay.
Mhm.
They're beautiful trees. I don't like them fresh off the tree. I like to freeze them. Just scoop out the flesh and put it in the freezer and use it in a smoothie. So it's not something I'm going to eat like an apple.
Right.
Uh,
More like a dessert.
yeah, more like
It sounds
exactly.
There's dragon fruit all in this way. Let's check this out. This looks pretty cool. It's a nice dragon fruit area.
Now this is what we'd call a serious dragon fruit garden.
Right.
Like if you take the time to trellis and wire and shade, this is for someone that really likes dragon fruit. And this is actually how they should be grown. They need to be shaded in the summertime.
It's a nice shade structure.
Yeah. In general, about 50% shade fabric will work for dragon fruit.
Okay.
If you shade them too much, they get really thin and lanky. And if they don't get enough shade, if they're getting burned, you'll see they'll turn yellow and they'll scorch. So this is actually a perfect color. You can see the perfect size, perfect color. It means they're
Right.
happy.
Yeah, even this one right here.
And dragon fruit really need to be trellised. It's not something you're just going to grow and let it
Okay.
climb along the ground. They do need some support. And you generally let them grow anywhere from 5 to 7 foot and then hang back down.
Okay.
This is really nice. This is
Yeah.
This is a lot of hard work.
Look at this. this is the second?
That is the second. Now this one, if I remember right, is a little older than the first one I showed you. And this produces generally 2 crops per year. In fact, Alex has some pictures from earlier this year. A lot of fruit comes off this tree.
Really good fruit, too.
Yeah. And you can see Jabba like to stay wet. You don't want to let them dry out. They are tropical. The cool thing about them, though, is they'll take our winters. They'll take into the low 20s, so you don't need to protect Jabba if you're within the city limits. But they do want to stay moist. Do not let them dry out. It's not a drought-tolerant tree. It's not something you can forget about. And if they get a proper amount of water, you'll have that nice, lush green foliage. If they're not getting enough water, you'll have very sparse foliage, kind of a burn look. But obviously they're okay with heat. Obviously they're okay with winter. And it's grown into full sun.
It's not one of those trees that are really close to the house.
Yeah, yeah. This one here is about 3 foot off the house. Those are flowers.
Oh, so these are flowers?
Yes, those are flowers. They're just tiny little spots.
It comes right off the trunk like that?
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, there's one right here.
So the fruit will hang right on the trunk there.
It's so cool.
Yeah. Jabba are beautiful plants, even if you don't eat the fruit. They're cool looking plants. They're good for containers because they stay small, they grow slow.
Right.
They're compact. This thing here should be about 25 years old now. The first time I saw it was about 15 years old. They don't get very big. Now over here we have a chiku, Sapote, otherwise known as Sapote. This guy here is still young. Probably about a 4-year-old plant here. Very slow growers. Don't prune those guys either, if you don't have to.
The fruit's so good, it's like brown sugar. So delicious.
Then saving the best for last.
Look at this.
Is the second of the Ibis. And this one actually has some fruit on it, up at the top. Now the tree got a little scorched in the June heat wave, but it's starting to put out new growth to replace it already. You can see the size of the trunk, you can see the size of the tree.
I can't believe that.
And it's probably a little hard to see on camera, but up at the top there's a bunch of fruit.
Yeah, I saw a few on this side.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about this tree. It's kind of like once you see it.
I don't know if you need to say anything.
Right.
Just let them put their eyeballs on it.
Just accept it.
Yeah.
Just go with it.
Let them fight the truth.
Wow.
They won't grow here.
I just can't believe how big the trunk is. I'm looking at fruit right now.
Yeah.
Even though it got sunburned on this side, it still has new growth, like right here, as you can see.
Yeah.
There's new growth everywhere.
Yeah. They'll acclimate if you give avocados a chance. If you plant them in a protected area from the sun and make sure they do not dry out. You want to keep them out of the sun. You want to keep them out of the wind. You do not want to let them dry out. You want to give them a ton of food. So a lot of mulch, compost, worm castings, manure, a lot of organic material. Avocados are heavy feeders. And do that for probably the first 2 to 3 years. You can see here where it was planted. It's got walls on 2 sides and then the bird cage on the other. Got a lot of other foliage around it. So this is the perfect microclimate for an avocado.
I see that.
Heavily protected.
So would you say avocados can grow here then?
I think so.
Wow.
I think so.
Nice. So amazing how just putting in so much hard work can pay off like this.
Yeah, definitely.
Like again, the humidity, you can feel it. The trees look happy. They're really green. There's mangoes. Take care of your trees. They'll take care of you. Seriously, I just want to thank Alex for letting us come over.
Definitely.
I wish I could have met Dr. Al. You met Dr. Al, so you have some memories with him.
One of the nicest people on earth.
Right. So thank you for showing us this yard today then.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.